Hello, welcome friends. Welcome to this webinar, Innovate for Predictable Business Outcomes. We are going to learn about innovation approaches and capability building methods. Sunny, Sunny, there is an echo here. Okay, friends, we are starting now. There's some issue with the platform. So today we are going to learn about innovation approaches and the capability building methods. So the first question that we may have is why innovation so important to business now than ever it was? Uh, uh, Hello. So why innovation is so important to business now than ever it was? This is a question that we may have in our mind. So let's really look at. Hi, Sunny. Yes, Sunny. Sunny. Sorry, friends, there are some technical glitches. So we are about to start. Uh, so the question that we may ever it was. So we may want to really look at some of the statistics. If you really Google the word innovation, you have around 177 crore hits. So it really tells you why innovation is so important. Okay. Now let's go to the next famous website that we always browse, and that is Amazon. If you put the word innovation and select the section book, it actually gives us around 80,000 hits, right? It gives around 80,000 hits. So this again reconfirms that why innovation is important. So many people are interested on innovation. So many books have been written on innovation. The third confirmation or validation is when we go to the world famous journal on management, Harvard Business Review, and it tells us around 21,188 case studies, articles, or digital articles are published on Harvard Business Review. So this itself is sufficient to tell us that world is really caring for innovation. All organizations are really looking to innovate. They want to really know how they can innovate. Is their approach right? What else they should do? What more they should do? All these questions are there in their mind. And we are trying to really see that how do we answer some of these questions that we have. So what really innovation is? It's about sensing the future. Now, we all are acquainted with using Zoom. We are all acquainted with using Teams. And this is how our world looks like today. We are actually on Zoom more than now we are in office. So, because of this COVID-19 situations, we are all interacting with each other with Zoom or Microsoft Teams. So is this the future for us? Is what we need to really sense and accordingly conduct our business. Now, you may know this famous company Kodak, and I'm sure that you must have handled its product, Kodak film, sometime in your life. Yeah, we were really fan of photography. So we used to really load this roll in our camera, and then we used to take pictures. Then we used to go to the studio to develop it. And then everyone back home is eagerly waiting for the photographs to come and see. But what happened with Kodak? Kodak filed for bankruptcy as digital era spells ends to the film. So they themselves had digital technology, but never realized that this will be their future. So what they always said, we put chemicals in one end so our customers can get memories out the other. So they were so much involved or passionate about their products, and then they thought that that's the only choice that customer has, and let's not really disrupt our business ourselves. So we may have digital technology, but let's not explore digital technology, is what they thought. And what eventually happened, they filed for bankruptcy from where they were and where they are today. So it all happened because they failed to really sense the future. So some of the mistakes what Kodak did is Kodak made a classic mistake that he didn't ask the right question. Kodak didn't understand what business they were really in. Actually, they were in the business of storytelling. You know, our memories, our photographs are our memories and our way to tell stories. I'm sure that many of you must have really pulled out many albums from your wardrobe and really seeing those albums, old albums, and trying to tell each other a story. So Kodak was not in the photo film, but they were in the business of storytelling. Now, they always believed that it could protect its massive share by relying on its brand strength alone. So that's what they always thought. Feared self-cannibalization and was resistance to change. Now, for me, these are the two most critical aspects that they missed. They never realized that they are into business of storytelling, and they never realized that people wanted to hear story to develop photographs and weave a story around a photograph. So it was always they were in the business of storytelling, and therefore they missed by going to digital. Second, they fear cannibalization. They said that, okay, I developed my digital technology, but I don't know where it is going to be. So I'm really not aware as how the world, the future will evolve for photography. So why to really disrupt the business, which is a cash cow, which is giving me enough and more cash? So self-cannibalization, they didn't want, and therefore they didn't really have taken to the digital technology. So innovation, in a way, is about exploring unknown territory. You know, sometimes we are really standing somewhere where we don't know which place we are going to explore. We're completely unaware of this. Still, it's quite exciting that we would probably explore the places that we have never been to. So innovation is all about exploration. It's about sensing and creating the future. Now, this is another company that we all know of, where they started in 2000 and where they are today in terms of their valuation and in terms of their product. So they not only had products for customers, starting from Macintosh to iPods, to MacBooks, to iPads, to iPhones, and a complete ecosystem about the product. So it's a very seamless experience for those who are using iProducts. So they did not only innovate on the products, but they went beyond products to create an iOS ecosystem which saw soaring of their valuation of their company. So they sense the future when most of the people did not think that what they are doing is right. In fact, their iconic founder was fired from their company because the shareholders thought that he's not the right man for the company. He would probably burn resources without achieving anything, but they were wrong. So, of course, this is on hindsight. But when he was doing what he was doing, he was pretty sure where he's going to reach. So that's about sensing the future and really making progress towards it. They did not achieve it this in 1 year. They achieved it over a period of time. So that is what is more important. Now you see the valuation, right? So this is how they have created value. So Kodak went down the hill while they went up the hill. So that's the difference. Now, many of you may have this doubt in your mind, is that we are doing a lot of things with improvement. We are improving things constantly. So what's the difference between improvement and innovation? So to answer your question, in case of improvement, you have a set of problems and you have a set of solutions in your own domain. So suppose if you're an automotive manufacturer, if you are encountering some problems, you have lots of Kaizen teams in your shop floor or small teams which utilize the knowledge and the experience that they have within their domain, and they prop up a solution which addresses the problem. While in case of innovation, you have a different ball game altogether. So let me explain you with an example. If suppose we always thought that we had a problem of traffic jams and car parking, and therefore we are not able to really go to the meeting on time, we probably always felt that our travel budget is too low for you to travel and conduct meetings outside the state or outside your country. Then this was the problem related to how do you meet people and how do you transact business and how much time you really spend in traveling and how much time you really spend in value addition when you really conduct a business. Now, here there are lots of solutions to that. So there is not only one solution. So if you thought that my problem is where do I park the car when I go for a meeting, probably Uber is trying to solve your problem. You just have to pay the bill and leave the car. Now, you may have a problem saying that I don't have an exact amount to pay. You have to really pay through Paytm. Today you have Zoom. Today you have Microsoft Teams. So you don't have to really go and conduct a meeting by going to some place. So what I'm saying is that the problem of traveling to a certain place to conduct a business or to transact a business or to meet someone, there are lots of solutions that you have where you could achieve the same job through several means. Now that is innovation, where if you could just see here, there are lots of solutions available here to address your problem of meeting without traveling, meeting without having to park your car, meeting without having to pay your bills to the exact amount, and so on and so forth. So what I'm saying that there exist many solutions to address your problem. Now, many times when you have a particular solution, so today we have something called platform concept. So Uber is a platform, Swiggy is a platform, then your Airbnb is a platform. So there is a single solution that you have, or the app world or the IT world has found out a way where they receive request, they aggregate request, and then they serve the request. Now, if that's the solution, there are many industries that are getting benefited because of one solution. So it could be travel industry, it could be hotel industry, it could be your carpool industry, that is Uber, or there could be the food serving industry, that is, let's say, Swiggy and Zomato. So one solution solving many problems. So the class 2 is called exploitation and exploration, and the class 3 is also called exploitation and exploration, where a solution is really exploited to solve many problems. So the difference is between having many solutions and having only one solution to the problem. Now, the other parameter you would like to really differentiate between innovation and improvement is, you remember, some people say that we are doing a lot of innovation already. So the question that you need to really ask is that how much percentage of improvement is being done in the business parameter? So innovation generally targets 30% of improvement in a business metric. So unless and until you have a 30% improvement in the business metric, you really cannot call that as an innovation. So that's a thumb rule that you must use to really gauge. Have this 30% metric over what you currently have, then that 30% cannot be achieved by simple solutions as I have shown you before. You need to have multiple solutions, multiple approaches to solve a single problem, and choose maybe one solution that gives you a quantum leap to what you're trying to achieve. So if you ever get this question that we are doing a lot of innovation already, you need to really ask this question: how much did you improve on a business metric? So today's topic is what we are going to discuss. So I'm going to really take you through the entire flow, and then I'm going to also share with you what we do and how we can really help you do whatever that we are presenting here. So innovation is really about successful business outcomes. It's also about a state change. Now, before we go further, let's carry this example in our mind so that our understanding becomes a little more clearer. Now, you all must have seen or experienced one of these products. Maybe those of you who are too young may not have seen a cassette tape recorder or a Walkman, but definitely have seen iPod and iPod Touch and iPhone. So this is how a typical product innovation. So this is the timeline and this is the performance parameters, okay? So at each stage, if you see, these are called S curves, you know, they represent an English letter, S curves. So there is a birth of a product to its decline. So it's just a life cycle of a product. Now, it has really changed from reel to reel, where you could copy from a master reel the music that you want, and then you play it. Okay, but you can see the size of this reel. It is very difficult for you to really take it from places, one place to another. So it gave to the rise saying that people want to hear music, but they can't really carry this heavy reel. So then came the tape recorder. Now the tape recorder, you could hear the music in your house. You can put the battery and probably, but people still felt that this is too heavy to carry. And somebody really thought saying that, can I have music in my pocket? Or can I really attach the music to my belt and hear it through an earpods? So then came the Walkman. Okay, now the Walkman only, the size of the device changed, the medium, that is the tape, remained the same. Then people started having problem not with the device, but the product it played. So they said that there were a lot of problems. The tapes are getting loosened, and they have a very low shelf life. They get rubbed off against something, and then the music quality deteriorates. Then came the Discman. So it used a different technology. It used a laser technology for reading, and then converting a laser signal into an audio signal. So it completely changed the way the music is delivered. It stored more music, and it was the quality of the sound was far better. Then came the iPod, where the storage increased, the interfaces increased. There were no buttons here. You could just change the music with a track wheel, and then You could see that on a display which song is being played. You could just surf it and you can play it. And then came the iPod Touch, which only has your finger interface. Then the quality of music, of course, improved. You could download the music from the internet, so you don't have a storage problem. You could actually organize your album. You could share it. So there are lots of things that happened from where the music originally started to where it is now, and probably where it will evolve going forward. So very interesting things if you see on the left-hand side, that more and more jobs that customer wants to do are being done by the devices that has come subsequently. So here, earlier people only listened to live shows. So they did not have any medium to really listen to a music after the show is over. Two, you can buy music online, you can store music, you can organize music, you can share music albums from iCloud, you can have other apps, you can have touch experience, you can have far better music quality. So the original job that all people wanted to do was preserved, but there were more jobs that were added by the subsequent device. So this is how the innovation in the music industry or in the audio devices, which has also reshaped the music industry in a way that it never imagined. Because there were a lot of problems in the piracy. That also problem was solved by the iOS system, where now the music is available at an affordable rate. So people would buy music rather than they steal it or they copy it, they buy through a pirated version. So that has really even solved a problem for music. So this is how the evolution of audio devices and the music industry happened. Now, here the idea, of course, I don't want to really overwhelm you with these graphs, but the simple point that I'm trying to make is that any product that evolves from one stage to other may not really evolve at the product level only. The product itself has many subsystems in it. So for an audio system, it has the playing device, it has the cassette, and it has lots of mechanism inside it. Now, all of them have changed either incrementally or substantially to make the product better. So what I'm saying, to make this better, something happens in the components and the subsystems of the product, right? So this is how it changes. Now, if you take an example of an automobile, now in the electric vehicle, there is an electric motor and no engine. So what I'm saying, this complete prime mover ecosystem has been changed from engine to an electric motor. So this is how changes in each of these systems probably would give automobile a new value than what it had in the past. So today, the automobile is more with sensors, right? So it is adding more features to the automobiles, and therefore customer wants more and more things in terms of features, and that's how you differentiate your product from the other product. So the innovation not necessarily need to happen at the automobile level, but it has to really happen at its subsystem or maybe going down to its component level to give the companies the advantage of differentiating themselves from their competitors. So you need to always remember that for innovation to occur, you don't have to really focus product, but you can focus on one of its component or subsystem. Now, let's define innovation, how BMGI perceives innovation, and how do we define innovation. So now you would see that an innovation is nothing but the problem or an opportunity. Now, many times you have seen the examples that I've shown you previously. Nobody told Steve Jobs to really evolve a device that is eventually evolved. No customer has told him that I want this. It's all is imagination in introduction of products, and people have really embraced that those products because they saw a different value in those products. So the first and the foremost thing in innovation is that unless and until you have a worthwhile problem to solve or an opportunity that you have found, there is no point in innovating. You probably may be wasting resources. So many times you find an opportunity, you take a prototype, you introduce a prototype, and then you actually check back in the market. If that's really successful, you scale it up to a new product. Now, then comes, of course, once you have found the opportunity, the whole ideation piece that comes in, where you need to really find out newer ideas to solve the problem. And for each of the problem or an opportunity, you either add a product feature or you have a different product to serve that opportunity. Existed in the past. But how Uber differentiated? Uber differentiated that you don't have to go on the road and call a taxi. You can book it from the environment of your home. So you book it before, so that once it arrives, you just go along with your luggage. You don't have to really stand on the road. You will know that how much time it will take to reach to your destination. You would know how much money they would charge you in advance. You can give a feedback about the driver, which earlier you could not give. So what I'm saying is that these were unrecognized opportunities by the taxi operators or the travel companies, which Uber encashed, and Uber brought a different product. So your basic job remained the same, that you want to move from place A to place B, but Uber gave you much more comfort than a normal taxi or an auto would give you. And that's why it had a customer value, right? You embraced Uber because you saw a value in it. And of course, uh, uh, it has to have a provider value also. You can't only say that I have given customer a right product or a value, but unless and until a provider is quite profitable, providing the innovation that he or she, that organization wants, it doesn't really make a business sense for her. So the last and but the most important thing is that it should also provide value to the provider or the manufacturer. Now we will just quickly see the types of innovation. So to make it simple for you, I have also created an example sheet for this. So innovation is broadly classified into three that differentiate from each other. So of course, and there are three inspirations I've written on the left-hand side. Like you need to sense the wave, you need to feel the pain, and you need to see the waste. So if you really pick up those signals, then you could innovate either on a product or a process or a business model. So I mean, I don't want to discuss through all the examples, but let me just take one of each category. So let me take the insulin pens. Now the insulin pens was actually so Novo Nordisk has introduced that Novo Mix pens. So earlier, the insulin companies thought that they need to give pure insulin. Okay, so doctors always said that, yeah, pure insulin is good for the patient. But so they actually focused their research on insulin. But the real problems was faced by the users, those who were diabetic. So they had those syringes, and they need to really feel that inside the syringe. They need to measure it, then they need to prick it, they need to carry it. So all sorts of pain that they had. Novo Nordisk did not really focus on purifying an insulin. They said, okay, you can have a larger insulin, larger impure insulin, but they created a cartridge. They created a measuring device within the pens, and they actually created a disposable cartridge. So you could just carry those insulin pens just like your fountain pen or a ball pen, and therefore it made much more easier for the consumers. So the innovation has come from the point of view of feeling the pain of your ultimate customer. Okay, so that's how the product was innovated. Let me go to the process innovation, saying the sense the wave. So how do you really do this by sensing the wave? So Zara made their fashion supply chain in such a manner, and they organized the supply chain in such a manner that they introduced a fashion which actually became perishable in maybe 21 days to maximum a month. So they have seen that people are fed up of wearing same clothes for a longer duration. So they have seen this trend, or they have seen this wave, and they have completely re-engineered their supply chain in a way. So they have done a lot of process innovation, because finally their product remained the a cloth or a merchandise or apparel, but the way they have conceived an apparel and supplied it was through their process innovation. So that's about process innovation. And the third and the innovation is about seeing the West. Now, uh, and this is also a business model innovation, that Southwest Airlines have seen that why airlines are not profitable is because there is a lot of waste in the operations of the airline. So one of the example, if I want to give you, is that they saw that every airline is using a different type of aircraft, which actually had a different maintenance procedures and tools and equipment and spare parts and things like that. So there was a huge cost in maintaining this. What they have done is that they have completely standardized their aeroplanes with the Boeing, and they had only standard airplanes. So they had the standard parts to store, standard equipments to maintain the aircraft, and the technicians also were completely trained, because there was so much standardization on the aircraft and everything, that they have improved their turnaround time from the moment the aircraft landed to the moment the aircraft took off again. And therefore they had more trips than they used to have, than the other airlines used to have, and therefore they became more profitable. So if a competing airline could take 10 times in a day, Southwest Airlines could took 14 times in a day or more than that. So what it finally gave them is a complete more profitable and high revenue earning opportunity. So these are the types of innovations. We have seen what is innovation. Now, let me just launch this poll question for you. Uh, uh, and I want to really understand from you. What, so I want to understand from you that what this is a question that is coming for you. I think you can vote for this question, and there is not one correct answer. You could have maybe more than one, but I would like to really hear about what is it that is being practiced in your organization. So the poll question is, what type of innovation your organization predominantly focuses on? So I'm launching the poll now. What type of innovations your organization predominantly focuses on? Yeah, some of you are still to vote. what type of innovation your organization predominantly focuses on is the question. I will give you 2 more minutes. Few of you are still to vote. Okay. So, so this is what the results are. So more organizations are focusing on product innovation. Then the next level is, of course, on process innovation, and very few are focusing on business model innovation. Okay, so that's the that's about how do you what your organization really cares for. So I think most of you are saying that product innovations is predominantly the focus of your organization. Uh, Now, we will, before we really go into this, we will see what is CEO's innovation wish list and employees challenges. So we have seen, yes, innovation is important, what type of innovation, but you would probably say that, okay, I mean, but the ground reality is different. So let's try and understand the ground reality. Now, many times the CEO's wish list always is, of course, make innovation predictable. You would like to have more predictability, and that's what the topic of our webinar today, that making business outcomes predictable through innovation. He also would like to have everyone innovative, so that, because he doesn't want to really pick up ideas only of few people, but he would like his organization to be innovative. Uh, the next challenges he has is, why people are not able to innovate, because there are lots of contradictions that they are unable to solve. So what they do is compromise rather than solving contradictions. So CEOs ideally want that all the contradictions that come in way needs to be really solved. I want everything to be ideal, and that's a right wish. Uh, the other hidden agenda in this is that we innovate so fast and we innovate so predictable, because many times you would see that you launch a product or a service, but your competitors will soon catch up with it. Now, why they catch up with? Because it's easy to copy. But what you can definitely do is, by building capability, is that you will be always ahead of them. Now, there are many people who are trying to catch Apple, but it's not so easy as it looks, because the innovation is completely ingrained into their system. You take any innovative organization for that matter, who is maybe the industry leader in a specific industry, and you would find that they do something similar. The other part is, which we would learn, is that we need a common language of innovation. Now, many times, and what BMGI does with its training programs and several approaches, is that it really creates a common language amongst all the employees and the innovation teams, the senior teams, so it becomes very easier to connect. Now, to give a metaphor for this, is that we Indians speak about more than, I don't know, the known language of, let's say, 30. So we speak even more than 30 languages, different dialects we have, but we all are able to communicate with each other either with Hindi or English. So that becomes a common language for us to communicate. It would be very difficult if we would not have known this common language. So therefore, many times innovations are not able to see the light of the day, is because everybody is talking a different language. Now, if we learn certain approaches, tools, methods, techniques, then we would still be thinking differently, but at least we would be speaking the same language. So there is no barring thinking differently. But what we need to really cut down is that people talking different languages, and therefore our innovation efforts are not going forward. So that's what we need to really be worrying about. Now, he also says that, look, I have only so many people with me, maybe my partners, but I want brain of every innovator in the world is available to us at no cost. I mean, that's his wish list, but that's ideal and that's possible. So I'm going to introduce to you a methodology by which you will able to learn the innovation tools and methods by which you would get an idea of the best innovators in the world serving you and solving your problem. And the last and not the least, but that's financial things attached. Now, many companies today value themselves not only on the product and services, but the patents that they have. So they are seen at the commercializing of patents, especially in the pharma space, in the electronics world. So it's all about patenting. So how do we actually create and monetize the knowledge is what is in the wish of your CEO. Now, having said this, now let's go to the employee. Okay, now what is the employee's innovation challenge? So it's all good, but the first thing he says that, but innovation was never a part of our academic curriculum. We never learned anything as a subject called innovation. Then the second thought comes to his mind is, I think ability to innovate is an innate ability. Some are so creative and others are not. But that's actually wrong. Because we graduate ourselves to be an expert. We just keep that expert hat little down for a while. We can really get a brilliant idea and we could challenge many things that we otherwise don't do. The third is it possible to learn ability to innovate? So you say that, oh, I've learned many subjects, but can innovation or ability to innovate can be learned? Let me give you the answer here and here itself. Yes, it is. The other thing people think is that innovation is R&D job. After all, they develop product and services that earn us the money. Now that's a very wrong thing to think. Of course, your R&D, product development, are in the forefront of introducing new products, getting you the revenue. But you have seen the business model innovation. People are talking about the processes. People are talking about several elements of business where it consumes cost without giving you a benefit, then that's an opportunity for innovation. So let me groove this in on your mind, saying that innovation is not only R&D's job, it is everyone's job. And unless and until everyone innovates in their own sphere, nothing is going to really happen. So the organization is not going to move in leaps and bounds. The other thing, or in the outside world solve problems that I face, how can I learn about their ideas? Now, many times we have found that between departments also, people don't know what they are doing. Forget about that you have several businesses in a conglomerate, then they don't really learn from each other. If they really learn from each other, probably they would innovate much more than they can learn from an outsider. So, so what I want to say that it's easiest to first learn from within the organization and then go outside. So you can do this simultaneously, but the effortlessly what you can do is to learn within. Okay. Now, some people say creativity is okay, but we have to solve real world problems here. And we want good ideas that can work in real world. So many times people say that, oh, he's a genius. He is so creative that he gives us a lot of ideas. But let me tell you, many times you get tired of sheer volume of ideas. And there are many people who would say that, oh, I give a lot of ideas, but nobody really pay heed to my ideas. So, that's not important. You can have a few ideas, but you need to really define that very structurally, and you need to really innovate very structurally. And the last point that I want to touch is that they say that top management is not aware of realities on the ground. They always dream, but we have to have many contradictions to solve. So people say that, okay, my boss or my seniors, my leaders want everything to be perfect, everything to be ideal, but that doesn't happen on the ground. But let me tell you, the people at the leadership level, at the top level, they are right because they are seeing the business many layers above you, and therefore they have certain expectations. Now, the best way to really do that is we achieve an alignment, and I'm going to touch upon how we will achieve this alignment through a very constructive effort. Okay, let me launch this poll question. So the question is innovation in your organization is top down, bottom up, or middle management driven? So let me launch this question to you. Okay, so this is how it looks like. Uh, it is top down, 64% are saying. Then the next goes to middle management initiated, and the last is of course bottoms up. So naturally, there could be mix of this. There could be top down or bottoms up, but people do have different approaches. Top driven, especially, is our strategic innovation, and bottom up innovation or middle management innovation is something to do with the current problem where we need to really need substantial improvement to be more competitive. So yes, so that could be the way to do it. Now let's go to the next part of the now here I'm launching one more poll immediately. So after having known this, uh, let me launch the third poll. Uh, what innovation challenges you face in your organization? What innovation challenges you face in organization? It's a multiple choice. Ideas are not heard and allowed to experiment. High bureaucracy, not enough collaboration amongst teams, no proper education on how to systematically innovate. This is no proper education on how to innovate. This is the last one. I think it's not visible, but it reads as no proper education on how to innovate. Okay. So, uh, so this is what the result shows. So I think not enough collaboration amongst teams is one of the reason, and no proper education on how to innovate is another reason why these are some of the challenges that you face. Now, rightly so, and I'm saying that the last two are related because we don't think about, we don't speak the same language, because we don't have a proper education how to innovate. This actually stifles the collaboration amongst teams. So that is what is being our observation in the practice that we do with several clients in India and abroad. So these two are really closely related. Now, let's go to the next. Now, organizations many times feel that, we have a process for everything we do, because, organizations are process driven, because process gives you predictability. So can we have a process for innovation? And whether BMGI has one process for innovation? Of course we have. So this is how what we call as D4 process for innovation, where there are 4 stages of that innovation process. We define the opportunity, we discover, that is, we generate ideas, we develop the design, and we demonstrate the feasibility. Now, let's quickly see that how do we really define, or how do we identify what's an opportunity that exists. So, we have seen this inspiration, that is, sense the wave, feel the pain, see the waste. Now, how do you do that? I mean, it's easy to say, of course. One is through your observation and through your understanding of the situation and making sense out of the situation. But how do you do this? Is there a method to do it? Is there a process to do it? Is there a product to do it? The answer is yes. BMGI has developed a product where you could really capture all the inspirations that I've just talked about, sensing the wave, feeling the pain, and seeing the west. Now, how do we do that? Let's see. So this is how, if you see here, this is how we actually make an innovation portfolio. We have seen product, process, and business model, right, in the innovation types. So this is how we do. So there are different tools that we use: market trends, technology trends, customer insighting. We will come here a little later. How do you really exploit technology trends? But we will first see about market trends. Now, this is, of course, the define part of it. Now we use, we have a database on consumer trends, what we call as market trends. So what is the basis of this trend is that there's a lot of research that goes on trends. So we have captured and we are quite updated with the information on the various consumer insights, or the behaviors of a general population, or the fads on the trends that happen all over the world, including India. So this is what we call a mega trend. Now, these mega trends are generally observed over a decade and predicted with a high probability of 15 years into the future. Okay. Now, here we see the drivers of change could include environment, politics, law, business, economy, society, technology, or innovation. Now, intensity of impact is mega trend impact all the participants, whether government, individuals, and their consumptions patterns, or corporations and their strategies and things like that. And reach impact on all regions. So it's a world over trend that is observed. The precise feature vary according to the region in question. So let's see with an example. So these are the mega trends that we have. Now, these are 16. Now, under 16 trends, we have lots of trends, what we call as micro trends, which forms one mega trend. So I'm going to see you with an example. So to give you an example, we have about 200 plus trends with us that helps us first define the opportunity for our specific business. So you could be in insurance, you could be in pharma, you could be in automotive, you could be in general engineering, you could be in retail, and you name an industry, and these trends can be connected with all the industry. Now, these are called macro trends and micro trends. Now, micro trends can be called a fashion or a fad. So it could be like your, let's say, Kolabari, or it could be like your a fashion or fad that remains for some time and it goes. It's happening now. It's popular but does not impact on all actors and regions, and influenced by a mega trend, and its period is normally 0 to 5 years, which is good enough for us to make a product or a service. Now, I'm just trying to tell you a trend. So this is how the trend card looks like. Now, we are not really going to say what the trend is, but how the method works. So here it's all about the salient features. So this is how we have about 200 plus or more than that such trends with us, where we could connect, and whenever we get engaged with a client, we actually shortlist all these trends, and then we make relevant trends. So maybe out of 250, maybe there are 25 trends that are more close to your industry. So we work with a client to really zero down on those trends. We see some inspiration. So what is this game on is just reading about this trend. In this experience driven economy, consumers look for products and services which engage them, and brands are using games to delight, engage, and reward them. So this is the trend, and these are some of the inspiration that you see. So let's say running app challenges uses to conquer virtual territory. So that's what they do. So it's all about competition between people. It's all about creating a community, and it's about marketing your product. So all that could probably come into this trend. Then when we run into a workshop with people, they make their notes as to what they think about it, because everybody has a different perception. We collect it, and then we get lots of ideas, because many times why will we do this? So let me just address this right away here. That many times market research is actually quite old and sometimes quite expensive to conduct a market research. What we do here is that we have a fair bit of an idea of the world and what are we doing. So this trends helps us first find out and formulate an hypothesis for a product. So for example, I'm going to say that an hypothesis is that, how do I engage my retail customers using a game on trend? So I may ask this question, I may say inspiration, I will write my ideas as to this is how we can probably do it. So I formulate few questions, right? So I may do that. So this is how it works. It cut down your market research cost. Now, market research is typically, you of course formulate a question initially in the market, but you are using your own experience. You're not using the database that is available to you, what world is saying. So our research, our database helps you exactly do that. You don't have to really wander. We have created something for you already. Now, over and above, if you think that you have something else over and above what we are presenting you, of course, you can always add, saying that what are the points you want to check back going to the market for better products and services, or new products and services. So this is the trend method. This is another trend. These are, it says that getting fun easy is too mainstream. Brands are engaging customers in real sweat, including inducing an effort pool participation for the fun of it. So, for example, here you would see saying that bank incentivize exercise with higher interest rate. So maybe an app that a bank has, it will tell you how much kilometers you have run, how much healthy you are, and if you have insurance product with a bank could probably incentivize you. Now, back with your customers, is that they will value? Is that what they would really like doing it? So that's how this trends talks about. So you could make your notes and create an hypothesis. Now, what we do after we shortlist trends, then we determine opportunities for each shortlist trend and we prioritize opportunities. So sometimes teams do this internally and they prioritize it and they will say that now I think we have got a fair sense of idea as to what probably we need to check back in the market. So now let's go to the market. We have actually formalized our hypothesis. Now let's go and check that. So that's how they do it. Now, this is what I mean, this is just an example of a financial customer. So assisted development, ambient wellness, customer made, on-demand delight, and crisis solutions. So this is what the opportunities that the teams identify. So for example, let's say on-demand delight and crisis solutions. So immediate support solutions for customer in crisis. So if suppose you are an insurance company offering health insurance, then how do you, this is what the customer on-demand delight, it really, the customer is in stress. How do you delight customers by helping him and making his life much more easier in that crisis situation? So this is something that you need to really think on, ideate, go back to the customer, check back with him on this aspect, and then get the insights, right? So this is what would do it. Now in the top row, we have seen that future-proofed and assisted development. Now, financial solutions that support and reward new skill acquisition for future-proofing income. So for example, if you're really investing in a mutual fund product or you're investing in an insurance, then they would also like to see that you're always employed, because your employment becomes a very important aspect for them to have the insurance renewal on time, you investing in the SIP that you've chosen. So what they do is that they would actually tell you that if you acquire some new skills that exist in the market, which is, and you really report to the company that you have achieved this, and therefore you're more marketable, then probably they would give you some incentive. They will incentivize your products in some way if you do that. So they also ensure the future stream of revenue for them, and you also upgrade your skills. So it's a win-win for customer as well as the provider. So these are this is the way the method works. And then what we go is that we go with these hypotheses and we try to do customer insight, because this is what we think, but we have not really checked back with the customer what we concluded. So we would like to know their opinions, and we would like to frame questions around the hypothesis that we have created here. So around this, we will create some questionnaire for customers, and we would go to him for data collection and insight. Now, recently, and probably we don't know whether that's the future for us, that we may not go and really work with the customers because of this COVID crisis. Then what we need to really do is we need to do this online. We could really interview through lots of Zoom calls and things like that. And we would really engage with your customers like that. So we would create a profile, we will select a profile, and what we will do is that we will conduct an in-depth interviews on the hypothesis that we created. So this is what we did in a recent exercise that we did. So we use an AI-assisted tool to gather customer insights. If we go to the market, so we go to the market, we go to the Gemba, we collect it one-on-one, in-person meeting. But suppose if it's not possible today, or the customers would like to have, in order to minimize the cost, suppose by sitting in Bombay, can I talk to a customer in Calcutta? Can I really talk to him or observe him while he's shopping something? So maybe an apparel, maybe he's shopping grocery, or he is shopping white goods. So we can really tag that customer, beforehand, and we can have a set of questions he can answer, or we can see his interaction on an AI-assisted tool, which is, artificial intelligence assisted tool, and we could pick up a lot of insights on site and off the site remotely. So this is what we do, we have done. And then we actually getting the insights. So these are some of the insights that will continue with SIP as long as I can afford it. I would want to invest more in secured instrument, which I was not doing much earlier, less of equity market and mutual funds, maybe more on secured instruments. So what I'm saying, it's not important what insights have come in. We actually capture all these insights from several customers that we interview. And then what we do next, we do prioritization of opportunities, because finally we have to really innovate and we have to. Okay, so we have really now understood the way we capture the opportunities, and the BMGI has product of market trends and customer insighting, which we call ethnography exercise. So if your organization is facing challenges as to how do we really understand what customer needs, these are some of the approaches. Of course, we can always get into discussion with you and detail out a customized approach for you. But this is how the method works. And many of our customers have seen fantastic results as a result of this exercise. Okay. Now we can not only do only for your customers, but we can do for your vendor partners. Okay, we can do your other stakeholders as to what they think about your company. So whatever, we can do this for your employees also. If you're in an HR space, we can, your customer is your an employee. So we can do it for various stakeholders that you would want us to do. Yeah. Now, going back to the next three bubbles that I have put in a blue, where this will go, is that we have found the opportunity. Now we need to really get an ideas, and we need to really make ideas into solution customer value, and which will also be beneficial for us. So here, now the innovation becomes much more internal for us once we capture the opportunity from outside. So we are now coming from outside to inside. So there are two ways of doing it: innovate a product or a service, or innovate on a business model. Now let's see, innovate on a product or a service. Now, generally what we do is that once we capture the insights, now this is just a quick process for you to understand how do we do it, is capture the customer insight, convert them into opportunities, create product and service features. Okay, so we have captured, we have seen some financial data. Sometimes we also in an automotive space, so somebody would say that I would like to know the, let's say, the engine temperature, or I would like to really know some object that is coming from behind and it may hit me. So I need to really know that in advance. So if this is the insight that has come out, I need to give a product feature based on what insight that has come out of me, or I have observed. So I have observed something which customer doesn't know, but he's feeling the pain, and I myself introduce that in my product instead of, so for example, let's say if I've introduced the child lock, so I've understood that though the customer has to lock the door, but if the child is sitting and if the door is not locked, there could be an accident that may take place. So child may play with the lock. So I have to put a child lock into the door. So that's something that customer hasn't told me, but I have figured out through my observations, through my interviewing with several customers, or going into the market and seeing the way people use product. So I create product and service features. Now, generally, the fourth step is that, as I said, everybody wants all the benefits with no cost and no harm. So I need to really ideate on a product or a services first. And while doing that, I may come up with lots of contradictions. So people may say that there are roadblocks, so there are contradictions. It's very easy to say that do it ideally, but I have lots of problems. And of course, we have a theory of inventive problem solving. BMGI helps clients solve their toughest technical and business contradictions. So we would see that once we capture the insights, what every customer would want is more benefits at less cost and less harm. So the more benefits you have in your product and the less cost you have and the less harmful effects you have, your innovation is much more stronger, right? So I will just tell you to introduce this concept to you, so our discussions will be a little more better. So for example, if you are into a business of cleaning or in the laundry business where you want to really wash clothes, uh, then the ideal innovation in this case becomes that the clothes cleans themselves. So as a manufacturer of a washing machine or a detergent manufacturer, you need to really think saying that if I exist for clothes industry, but if clothes industry finds a solution where they don't need cleaning, then I would be an out of business. So you need to really be much more doing this scenario planning much more ahead than later. The second is, of course, somebody will say that, okay, the washing machine manufacturer will say that I have a technology that I will use where detergents are not required. So I use ultrasonic cleaning to really clean, and therefore then I don't require detergents. So the detergent industry could land in a problem. Then the detergent industry has to innovate saying that, okay, I will use reusable washing powder. Okay, so I can reclaim the washing powder and I can reuse again, maybe 2 or 3 times. And the last problem is, of course, detergent with washing machine. That is what the existing solution that we use. So ideality is actually you getting all the benefits through your solution at decreasing cost and harm. So the less you make this and the more you make this, your innovation becomes more stronger and acceptable in the market. That's what you need to. But it's not really easy to do that because uh, uh, you will face lots of contradictions. How to solve these contradictions? So let's say you got the prioritized opportunities. So you have come up with the market attributes that I will have in product. Then you said, oh, my one customer wants something, my other customer wants something, so there may be a contradiction here. Then I may say that, okay, I want to reduce noise. If I do that, maybe I'm not able to achieve the speed because my speed increases my noise. So that's what I need to do. So there are lots of contradictions that you will face in the product and service features and between customers. So what do you do after that? So this is a typical contradiction that you might get. Now here that engineering is saying that we need a bigger engines, which means a bigger air intake area. That means insufficient ground clearance. So if you make bigger engines, it will touch the ground. So how can we solve a contradiction? So you want a bigger engine, but it should not touch the ground. So he says, yes, there is a methodology called TRIS, or Theory of Inventive Problem Solving. You have a complete course on TRIS. How do you do that? So, okay, so this is a way to do this. I change the shape of the engine so it doesn't touch the ground, but the area, intake area becomes large. So there are various ways you can do this. So this is how typical tree cycle works. So you have your own problems, then you try to see that where someone in the world has solved a problem like yours, or they have faced a problem like yours, then it gives you what sort of solutions this generic problem set has, and then you convert them back to your solution. So this is our TRIS course, and we have so many tools that we teach here to make your technical people more innovative. They may be from product development, R&D, manufacturing, engineering, quality, maintenance, and so on and so forth thing. So basically from a technical domain, and we have a 12 parts course that we are soon going to have from next Saturday. We have already completed one batch, and we are doing this for several organizations simultaneously, dedicated to that. So here you may have, these are typical business parameters that your management would like to have, where You will say my design cost is high, my design time is high, and you may have production parameters that you want to improve. So these are outcomes, your management is looking at, like production costs, design costs, production time, supply time, and so on and so forth. So how do you really solve this problem? So these are so many. So is there a way to do this? And these are the innovation strategies. So for all these technical or business contradictions that we are going to see, uh, is there a standard way? So, but is there someone in the world has solved a problem like mine? And what is the strategies that they have used? So these are the inventive strategies that I can use. So this is one part of the tool. I'm just trying to show you. These are 40 strategies. So there are lots of examples. There are lots of rules defined under this. So we use these rules to really solve the problem at hand. Many times what happens, we have a general creativity, which is good. Like we have an idea. But if we really define this very structurally, then it really helps us solve the problem quickly and efficiently. So these are our technical and I'm just giving you a tris flavor. So all your technical systems will have such parameters. We will learn about them. We will learn about your specific problems, and we will help your people solve this problem innovatively. So these are, again, as I said, there are such 51 technical parameters. So what I'm trying to say is that you may belong to a wide or any engineering industry domain, or a pharmaceutical industry or biotechnology industry. You are going to face technical contradictions because your product is technical. So irrespective of the domain that you have or you're operating in, this science will teach you how to formulate a problem and how to get an help from the large innovation database, which is coded in the form of patent database, which is available in the form of patent database. And what this science has done, this science has completely coded the knowledge of all that patent database and uh, 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 business ideas, so that you can get a very focused solutions for that. So this is what this science does. Now, these are solution strategies. So, I mean, these are just trying to show you. It's a complete 12 parts, 2 hours each part course with us. And I will show you what participant had to say, maybe at the end of this presentation. Attending this course, your technical people will get more and more innovative, and your organization will get innovative, because it is not only training your people on these tools that we have talked about, these tools that I mentioned here, uh, all these tools that we teach in our course, and they become more proficient in solving technical problems. Okay, so there are various. Uh, we give them lots of material. We give them videos to work on. We give them lots of examples. We actually handhold them to solve the problem and deliver you to a solution. So we do all that as a part of this course. There is some portion that we give complimentary for you to work with us with your problem, and we guide you online with an online support. So these are solution strategies. Now this is typically, we have, so the way to explain the way this science works, of course, this is one of the tool that I'm showing, because this is not the purpose of this class, this particular webinar. But what I'm trying to say, you will see there are lots of technical parameters here. There are 48 of them. So whenever you are trying, what we say contradictions and contradiction that stops us to innovate is that when you're trying to improving one feature, there is something else stops you from doing that. So for example, if I'm saying that I want to improve the strength, then naturally the weight increases. Because I may say that the stronger the part, the stronger the system, it means that the heavier is the system. Now, what you want is, you want the strength, but you don't want the weight to increase. Now you really see in this column, and you could may not see the numbers here, but there are small numbers here. Now these are the solution strategies. So when you say that I want to improve the strength and the weight stops me from improving it, I just go on this line and I go on this row. I've commerce written here. They are my solution strategies. So my kind of a problem has been solved with, these are numbered, you know, this 1, 2, 3, 4, you could see lots of many numbers. So you could use those 4 or 5 principles and the sub rules, and you can ideate, because your problem has been solved by someone using these ideas. So you need to really ideate using this, because now you are very focused. What's your problem and what is probable solution? So this actually reduces your innovation time, your idea time, your implementation time. You become faster at innovation using trace. So this is a typical, as I said, this is what I am trying to improve: length of a stationary object. Of course, these are technical terms. We explain them and we make you master in this during the course. And if I say that if I do this, I want to improve length of stationary object, but my weight increases, then these are the 4 rules. You use some mechanical substitution, you use pneumatics or hydraulics, you use parameter changes, and use composite materials. Now, under each of these title, there are rules and there are examples given. So it is not only these. You would ideate using those rules and examples. So it becomes a little easier for you to do that. Now, of course, coming back to, there are another some tools of this. So I will just take you through them quickly. So these are trends. Every technical system is evolved on certain trends. So I will just tell you an example. So we teach you all these trends during our course. We teach the rules, we give you examples, and you are able to really work and ideate and find out newer and faster ideas using these tools. So that is what, so just to tell you through this, this is one trend. Now I'm evolving a toothbrush. Now it gives me an idea. This trend tells me that from point, the brush that I use like this, can I make a brush which is having bristles all around it? So it will, you know, cleaner far better than my existing brush. So I've got an idea using this trend and the examples that this trend shows. I construct such radar graph for each of my product or my subsystem or my component like this. Like I may have an idea from this trend saying that, can I make the brush handle hollow? Can my brush slide into this and make it a foldable brush so that it can accommodate in my pouch? Can some liquid while washing will pass through this rather than falling on the brush? So this is how the tool works. Now, why TRIS? TRIS is based on the premise someone somewhere has solved a problem like yours. It helps you to connect with that someone seamlessly and be predictable and productive in your innovation efforts. TRIS is grounded in the reliable body of knowledge research. So it has captured knowledge from maybe more than 6 lakh patents world over. You may have current initiatives, Lean Six Sigma, theory of constraints. You may be achieving 5%, 10% improvement because of them. If you want to achieve 30% of improvement, you need to couple these approaches with TRIS. Now, TRIS offers equal chance to everyone, irrespective of their domain. Okay, so these are some of the feedbacks or testimonials that we received from our first program that we had, some of the batches. So you can read it. I don't want to repeat it. Now you would notice that they come from a different industry. They have attended the same course, but they have all started benefiting from learning from this course. And in fact, some of them have already started working with me on their problems. So we are having online discussions through Zoom calls. Okay, so it's something that you can really see. Now, we also offer the second product is a business model innovation architecture. We have seen product happens that you pretty much remain in the same business. So if you're an airline business, you remain an airline business. But what differentiates, let's say, Southwest Airline or Indigo from others the answer lies in their business model. So these are various elements of business model. What BMGI does is that it helps you innovate in each of these points. So we have got a complete process. So if your strategy department is saying that we also would like to see how do we innovate on business model, not only on product and process, because you may have an excellent product, but if you have a poor business model, still you will not achieve what you want to achieve as an organization. So if you ask me this question, that you need to really be innovating on all the aspects of business at the same time. Okay, you cannot really say that, okay, I will only innovate on product. You need to really innovate on your distribution channels. That will give you an edge over your competitor. You may want to innovate on customer experience. How do you provide different customer experience to different customers? How do you really focus on customer segment? How do you serve with the same product different customer segment? That's what you need to do. How is your brand strategy? What is your core offering? What is your complementary offering? What do you do with a complementary offering? So all Zoom is available for Zoom calls, but Zoom is also available for webinar. So core offering could be meeting, but complementary offering could be many other things that you want to do. Now, you may want to really, as I said, process is covered. So in business model, the process part gets covered, enabling process and resources. You may want to innovate with your partners. So it could be your technology partners, it could be your vendors. So how do you do that? So this is what is covered in business model innovation. You work on how different revenue streams you can create out of the same product. So probably, you know, if you have something called subscription-based model, you have one type purchase, you have leasing models. So there are different models available, and there are different ideas in the world on business model. PMGI has a large database of such ideas in each and every element of business model, and we help run a workshop with our participants, and we really help them innovate on all these elements of business model. Let's say cost structure. There are different costs that you have. How do you really manage and reduce cost? And you spend at the right where you need to spend, and where you can really innovate on cost structure such that your cost is bare minimal and therefore your profit is high. So I mean, this is the Netflix business model. So you would see, I'm not really going through this business model, but let's start with the customer. It's tech-enabled, forward-thinking consumer is what their customer base is. View movies on demand, view TV on demand. So it's all on demand. Saying the way of that everybody consumes is on the mobile. So the mobile has become your new television, right? So that's how you do it. Now, you may have, let's say, core offering is your original content and movies, right? And complementary offering is curated content for you. So you would be able to really get a curated content with you. These are the core processes. This is how they do marketing. This is how the cost structure is on various costs. What are the ideas that they use, and what are their revenue streams? So this is just a Netflix model differentiating them with the other competitors in the same segment. And this is Airbnb's model. So this is how we do it for our clients in different domains. Let it be from any domain, we do it. Now, how do we do it? So we have, I mean, we use some of these thinking through various different business models that exist in the world cross businesses, whether it is B2B business, B2C business, it's an FMCG or it's a retail or you name it. And they use several ideas to run their business. So it has been captured in certain pattern. So we use those pattern to help our client ideates on their own business model. And they create a different business model. Maybe they are into the same business. So if you are a pharmaceutical company, you still remain a pharmaceutical company, but you change or you ideate in one of the elements of your business model to really stay far ahead than your competition. You could be an FMCG company. How do you differentiate from your competitor? So you use lots of ideas and create an edge over your competitors and stay always ahead with respect to your competition. Now, this is the same. Now, while implementing this business model, this is a typical problem. Now, we have seen the technical trees. Now, we something have called business and management trees. So this is typically used for all business problems. So maybe strategy related problem, supply chain related problem, right? Logistics related problem, customer process related problem. So all, but all other domains except the technical domain is handled by TRIS for business and management. So we have a different course for TRIS for business and management, where we teach different than your technical. So some people may say that, oh, I am from service industry, I'm not really making any product. Or your supply chain is saying that, oh, I really want to, or your marketing people would say that, though our product is technical, but we need to really innovate in the management domain. So how do we really learn TRIS in the management domain? So we have TRIS for business and management domain as well. We are soon going to launch a course on business and management also. So these are typical business management. So these are not technical problems, but these are your business problems. Design cost, design time, design risk, design interface. Similarly for production, similarly for supply, similarly for. So whenever you are trying to improve a production cost, if your design risk or some quality is getting affected, then how do you really solve this contradiction? Is what we see through those inventive principles and through formulating the right problem. So these are the business management problems, and these are the ideas. As I said, similar ideas exist for business management also. So we have these principles not only for technical domain, we have for marketing and sales. We have this for quality domain. We have this for manufacturing. Everything, the rules remain same, but the examples we use from those domains to help our participants' idea. Okay, so it will be customized to your requirement. Now these are similarly what I've shown you, the business trend, technical trends. There are like business trends. So typical trend you may have saying that customer starts from performance of a product that you give him, then he expects it to be reliable. If it's a new product, then he says that how convenient to dispose of the product, and then finally it goes on the price. अगर सस्ता है और अच्छा है तो ही product मुझे चाहिए. So, you know, we give such examples and many more such examples along with these trends for people to ideate. We say that why you move from this particular phase to this phase to this phase. So these are reasons for jump. So depending on what kind of a problem is there, you can use that specific trend to generate ideas to improve your product. So this is just a glimpse of what we do with TRIS for business. Okay. Now, as I said, so this is about building capability. Okay, we have covered the product as customer inciting, solving your all business and technical problems using theory of inventive problem solving. We also have non-database tools where we use other tools which doesn't use database, but they will help you your individual creativity to just like provocation and moment. You know, we have 635 brain writing and so forth. So I mean, these tools are different. So we have a set of tools. So the way you want it to your specific situation, we can recommend you depending on what you want to innovate and how do you want to. So these are the tools for defining the problem and solving all the problem from idea generation to idea implementation. Now we will say that as a management of innovation, what you should do. Is it not true? The hardest part of any journey is taking that first step. So you need to really take that first step. So I have said that if your management wants to really know that how they really seed innovation within your company. So my first, so it depends on where your organization today stands. You may be at step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4, or step 5, wherever you are, or you could be in between step 2 and 3, 3 and 4. So there could be many situations that we would only come to know once we really interact with you, we discuss with you your specific needs, challenges, and then we would able to recommend. But if you want to really know how it really flows, then this is how it is. So the organization that just started talking of innovation and they want to do something, the first step is that they need to do is build few innovation champions. Okay, that's what they need to do. So test some success through the effort. So they will learn through some of these courses, like I said, TRIS. They would learn something about it and they would take a project and they would deliver some success. So people would be really happy. The second is, of course, you would like a few more teams to really do this, and you form a team structure in different departments, different businesses, and you really start delivering success. Implemented ideas become new common sense. So there are more and more people get trained. There are more and more projects you do, and your management starts seeing the results. So you're championing now the innovation. Now, the third step is, of course, managing. So here you get more senior members on board, scaling capability. There are more senior managers because of your initial success. They come into play and they really try to say that now we want to really scale it up. We have many more projects to take. And so innovation, it becomes day-to-day business. You also start innovating on new initiatives, products, markets, and ventures. When you go to the managing state, in strategizing state, you becomes like skills like scenario planning, exploration, strategic innovation. That becomes so very new areas, and you want to really be. Then you form an formal innovation function. You skill everyone with the innovation tools, knowledge and tools. Your business is ready to explore. So to give you an example, Samsung stands here. Samsung actually teaches us, everyone in Samsung is exposed to TRIS. That's what our information is. So this is how, like, they are really complete organization is thinking and talking about the same language. And the last stage is you have more entrepreneurs. So, you know, your people become the new entrepreneurs. They have a business idea, and you really give them complete freedom. You become an investor in their ideas, and then organizations spin off a business based on these few individuals who has really carried along through this process, and they become the new business heads of your business. So they really spin off new businesses for your business. So that's the last step. So this is how it really goes. And now to just summarize, we are doing a TRIS for technical workshop coming up this Saturday on 13 June. So if some of you want to register, we are offering 20% discount if you register on or before 10 June. In any case, you reach out to us. We would figure out something for you. This is the brochure. And so you write to me. I will send you these brochures. I have your email ID. So I'll send it to you. This is 12 parts course. This is the timetable. And this is what you will get once you attend this course. The you can we are also planning to do a tris for business, so if you have specific interest, do drop in your email, share this with your colleagues in your network, so that if more people come, we can definitely make a dedicated course individually, or maybe for your organization exclusively. That's also we do. And last, and this is my contact details. So you can reach out to me on my mobile, you can reach out to me on this email ID. And we would like to be really looking forward to working with you. Hope if you have, I want to take your questions. So a few people have already started asking questions. Don't worry, I am still available for next 15 minutes. So, or even more. I would like to get your questions. Do you help to define fine-tune the problem statement? Of course, first of all, one question, you can pour in more questions. Please type in more questions. So one question is, do you help to define stroke fine tune the problem statement based on the various trends that your tool captured? Of course we do. But what we suggest is that so we can start where you are today, but we will also help you where you have missed out few things that you should have considered. So we would help you do that. So to answer your question is, yes, we can start from where you are, but we can really take you for where you want to be, or you missed few points. We can do that. Now, the other question is, most of the time, the opposing side is cost, strength versus cost. See, TRIZ helps you, and as I explained, so the question is that how do you solve contradiction? So let me tell you upfront that we are unable to innovate. It's all because we are not able to solve the contradictions. So if you are able to solve the contradictions, and first you define the ideality of the features or what you want, and then if you write that I want to achieve this, but this stops me from achieving. Sometimes even you have an idea. So I'm not saying that TRIZ will give you all the ideas. You have some ideas, and that ideas are fine, workable. But the problem you're not able to implement is because you're facing contradictions. Therefore, you leave your idea. What TRIZ helps you? TRIZ helps you to solve those problems. So yesterday, I was really discussing with one of the participants. So they said that the problem exists for 2 years. So within an hour, we generated 5 good ideas, which the participant said that he has not really thought of. And he said that he will get back to me by implementing, by trying out few things. And I've also given him some exercise to do. So what I'm trying to say is that, yes, it is possible. You need to really formulate contradiction. And what happens, TRIZ actually helps you systematically map the problem. It actually, because many times we think that we know the problem, but let me tell you, out of my experience for so many years, that we don't talk to the problem. We don't define the problem. We don't actually make the problem completely visible to us. The moment we do this, probably we get the answer by defining the problem itself. So TRIZ does help in solving the contradictions, and there are many tools, not only contradiction matrix. You may become more conversant with certain tools than others. So you would have your own way of doing things also, which I found in with my own experience, and I have also found in some of my participants doing it now very well. You want to share this deck with me? I will try and upload this on SlideShare and then share the link with you. That's possible. Let me figure out that, but yes, that's possible. More questions? Yeah. Any more questions? Okay, I'm waiting for your questions. The questions are more welcome. Any questions? I'll wait for your questions. Don't worry, take your time. Well, for some of you, if you have any question, you can talk also. Mr. Ghani, Mr. Vinay Basi, who have questions, you can speak also to me. Okay, if there are no questions, I think thank you very much for attending this webinar. Please write to me and let's get in touch with each other to really know what together we can do. Okay, so invite you to reach out to me and we will make a beginning somewhere. Thank you very much for your time and attending my session. Thank you very much.